Big Pink Bird. It's time for Must Have Seen TV, the podcast dedicated to the sitcoms of the 20th century, from Make Room for Daddy to Sabrina the Teenage Witch. I am your TV guy, Brett White, also known as the drag queen Barb Hardley. And say hello to the Libby to my craft, Ethan K. Hello, Ethan.
Hello, Brett. It's good to be here back again, back on the
Pew pew.
regular schedule. We had a weird hiatus because
A forced error. Let's call it a forced
the
error. I don't.
estate
That's
of John Saxon took us to court.
for yeah. It
No,
was
that's
rough. It's been rough.
I'm just like, you're so handsome. You're so handsome. And they're like, stop saying such nice things about John Saxon.
How dare you? But yeah, we are back and we are finally finishing out this round of episodes that we've been promising for a while. But I'm trying to think if there's any other business. Patreon is also back up and running. Please go subscribe for $5 a month. You get all sorts of little trinkets, baubles,
Yeah,
and yeah,
pretty much every news article that Brett has found on the show
I'll
goes
put
up
up
on the
there.
Patreon if you want to read it. We had a little bit of a hiatus, so I was just delivering some content. So I found an episode of Fernwood Tonight, which you cannot generally find on the internet. I put that up. It guest stars Jim. No, it doesn't star Jim Varney. It's a different one.
Oh,
Um,
whoa.
I have one where I have one that I was watching
Pre-Ernest or
where
as Ernest?
pre-Ernest, he plays a truck driver
Oh,
who is teaching a community college course to other truck drivers about romance.
I'm like, is this the Pollen Halloween special?
It's Ruby
Rhinestone
Red, the
Trucker.
rhinestone trucker.
It's just iconic.
It's classic. It's classic.
Yeah, so please, $5 a month gets you all sorts of fun stuff and also just helps out. And we need all the help we can get, baby.
Who loves you, baby?
Who loves you,
Tel-
baby?
Telly Savalas does.
But yeah, it's very exciting, especially with the holidays coming up. There's gonna be more content, definitely, with the holiday gauntlet we're all about to run. My favorite time of year, the busiest time of year. I should probably try to make it not as busy this time and maybe enjoy it.
Yeah. We're going to do our upfronts episode soon where we talk about the next season of Must Have Seen TV, which is
Yes.
where we start over from the
Oof.
1950s.
And
And sometimes there's a theme, sometimes
oh
there's not a
god.
theme.
No, 1950s. Oh, Halloween. Yeah. Yeah, we gotta figure that out. But hey, before we travel to the 1950s, we got one more pit stop to make in the 1990s. This week, we are traveling to April 24th, 1998. The big hit ruled the box office. No idea. Too Close by Next topped the charts. Definitely know what that is.
Which one's that?
That is a mil. You're dancing real close. Probably it's about a boner. It's a high school dance
Oh,
about, yeah. Too Close. And ABC aired the Sabrina the Teenage Witch episode Disney World. Ethan, you must have seen Disney World, the Sabrina the Teenage Witch episode before today.
alas, I have not seen a Sabrina the Teenage Witch episode at all, I don't think.
Oh my
I did
god.
I didn't know Martin Mull was on this until you told me he was.
Yeah. Yeah, it's my well, is this my primary point of reference? I feel like him just being Martin Mull is my primary touchstone of for Martin Mull. It's just he's
Martin
just
Mull
on
is
everything.
He's amazing.
Well,
He
oh
really
boy.
was on everything. I was looking him up. He did um of course Mary Hartman,
Mm-hmm.
which was it had the spin-off Fernwood Tonight, which had the spin-off America Tonight. He was on Roseanne, where he played
Played a
he
gay character,
and his partner was Fred
Fred
Willard,
Willard.
who was his partner in Fernwood
Fernwood
Tonight and
Tonight.
America Tonight. He did
And
the voice on.
he played a movie director on Taxi, and he played a shut-in on Golden Girls.
He was a voice in Danny Phantom for a number of years. He got
And
an
then
Emmy nomination for Veep.
oh yeah, great. Yeah, he was really good in Veep. And
And
he did Ellen's second sitcom, The Ellen
uh,
Show.
He did a couple. He had his own show with dads, and then he had the Cool Kids
Oh, yeah.
that was
Oh,
produced
and
by
he had, oh God, what was it? He had an 80s sitcom that, oh God, that was really good. That I've only seen the opening credits for. It was basically like a tongue-in-cheek send up of family sitcoms. Martin Mull,
he
80s
was just
sitcom.
all over the place. If you want to see a good Martin Mull
Domestic Life.
performance,
The
domestic
Domestic
life,
Life. Yeah.
he was in A Futile and Stupid Gesture, which was the movie about National Lampoon.
Yeah.
And he played Doug Kenny had he not died. It was just a very strange role for him. But the real Doug Kenny died, I want to say in the early 90s. Um, he fell off a cliff in Hawaii.
Right.
And this movie is told by Martin Mull, who is like, but what if I'm dead and I'm going to narrate my story from beyond the grave? And he just like walks through all the scenes of, and yeah, it's a
Uh,
fantastic movie, fantastic performances by everybody. So it's obvious to say we are definitely Martin Mull fans.
yeah, we'll be getting into a lot of that in this discussion. On the Sabrina front, I will say this sitcom has, I think, is a very big touchstone for people that are like a half step younger than me. I think
Hmm.
that's because like by this point, by 1997, is that's when I said this episode was? Like baby or 1998, baby, I have checked out of TGIF. I am thank God it is Thursday night. I am watching the adult sitcoms. I'm watching Friends and Seinfeld and whatever other junk NBC is putting on between Friends and Seinfeld and Third Rock from the Sun and news radio. Like it was kind of 1994 was a turning point. Like once you start watching sitcoms that are written for an adult audience, I could not go back to watching
Yeah.
TGIF, even though I was 10.
I was interested in it because Frank Conniff, TV
Yes.
Frank from Mystery Science Theater, was I believe the story editor, head
Yeah.
story editor. I had it written down and now I don't. But yes, he was involved, and it was kind of like, oh, what do people do after Mystery Science Theater? Well, Frank did Sabrina, and Frank did Invader Zim. So
Okay. Well,
that
that's
was
yeah.
how it was on my radar. I knew the character from comics. Just growing up collecting comics, you run
Yeah.
into Archie comics. Um, what I didn't know is that Sabrina the Teenage Witch has been on television since 1969 pretty constantly.
Was she
Like,
in the cartoon, the Archie cartoons?
so a little bit of background. She was a feature in Archie's Comedy Hour in 1969. 1970 to 1974, she was in Sabrina the Teenage Witch and the Groovy Ghoulies,
Of course.
which had Jane Webb as Sabrina and Larry Storch. Dallas
Love
McKinnon played
Larry Storch,
Salem.
icon.
1977 gets the new Archie and Sabrina hour, which is an
Huh.
hour of content where Sabrina gets the first 15 minutes, Archie gets the 30 minutes in the middle,
Oh my
and then
God.
Sabrina and Archie and the Groovy Ghoulies get the last 15 minutes. It's an hour of Archie. Um,
That's so much.
so which then spun off into Super Witch in 1977, uh, where she goes around trying to solve problems with her magic. Those were just the Filmation shows. Then Deke
God.
got the license.
Oh, and you know
Um,
Deke's gonna do some stuff.
1999 got Sabrina the Animated Series, which was a spin-off of the sitcom, and Sabrina was voiced by Emily Hart, Melissa Joan Hart's sister, who was a character who played a character on the live show. That lasted 65 episodes, became
Jeez.
3 video games, and they tried to have a Salem spinoff that didn't work. Sabrina then gets Sabrina Friends Forever in 2002, which is a TV movie on Nickelodeon,
Mm-hmm.
followed by Sabrina's Secret Life in 2003. Um, which is 26 episodes of a
Wait, what?
syndicated cartoon.
Oh, cartoon. I was like, what?
Then
Jeez.
Sabrina Secrets of a Teenage Witch in 2013. That was voiced by Ashley Tisdale, but it was done on Disney Channel outside of the United States until the company that was doing it went bankrupt.
Did they ever air in the US?
No.
And then we got Chilling Adventures of Sabrina.
Yes, and there was
Un-
also, believe it or not, a Turkish remake in 2006
of course.
called Akemi Kadi. I don't know much about that, but I'm just looking. I took an entire page of notes, and I was like, "My God, she had so many series."
Yeah, that's so strange because I don't. She seems like such a. I only know this, and I know Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. That's it. Oh, and
It's one of those.
then there was a didn't Francesco Francavilla do an Archie Comics
Yeah,
Sabrina like in
called
the
Chilling Adventures of
2010s?
Sabrina. Yeah,
Right, right,
Chilling
right.
Adventures of
Yeah,
Sabrina.
yeah,
That was it was a great series, and it really inspired the Netflix show. But the problem was the issues were so delayed all the time, and it was really
yeah.
hard to follow. Um, but if you want to hear something crazy weird,
Ooh,
uh, just the story of how this reboot of Sabrina the Teenage Witch happened.
ooh.
Um, so this was post Clarissa Explains It All,
And hers.
starring
And they tried to
starring
do a spin-off of Clarissa in the City working at a newspaper, and they aired it as a TV movie, and then it didn't go, even though that sounds like a great idea.
didn't happen, but Melissa Joan Hart's mother, Paula Hart, was her manager. She was, waiting for the next thing for Melissa. Melissa was 19 at the time. Uh, Someone reaches out to Paula at a playground in New York, gives her an Archie comic, and says, I think that Melissa would be great for this role of Sabrina the Teenage Witch. Paula thinks it's a great idea, goes over to Archie Comics, who sells her the TV rights for $1.
The fuck? Wait, was
That's
this a time traveling
almost-
Melissa Joan Hart who like came back? I must close the loop.
So they make the Sabrina the Teenage Witch movie in 1996. 1996.
Yeah.
Yeah, where you've probably seen it at Blockbuster, where her head is remarkably small because they photoshopped it weird. Um, but it was kind of like a made for TV movie, and it sparked enough interest that they ended up doing 163 episodes of this TV show with only two of the actors from the movie, Melissa Joan Hart, and I'm blanking on the other one. Um, so yeah, the rights were sold for $1, and
What the hell?
then kept doing this.
Archie, I don't know if that's like believe in yourself more, Archie Comics. Don't just hand him over to
Right?
the first person that comes over. But I also do think that like if you have Melissa Joan Hart like right off of Clarissa, like yeah, that makes total sense because Clarissa was the coolest, the coolest show that before Adventures of Pete and Pete came along, and then that became Nickelodeon's coolest show, and then it was all
Yeah.
that.
I loved Clarissa Explains It All. I thought it was just
So
really
good.
was well written, good show.
Got it
Maybe
on
we should do
DVD.
that
We should do that.
on this podcast.
But this week on Must Have Seen TV, we'll be talking about the Sabrina the Teenage Witch episode Disney World, which is the 23rd episode of season 2 and was written by David Lesser and directed by David Trainer. Here's how Paramount Plus describes the episode. A school trip to Disney World becomes yet another test for Sabrina on the road to her witch's license. Ethan, how accurate is that description?
1000%
That's
completely accurate.
except that they don't go to Disney World, they go to Animal Kingdom.
They go to Animal Kingdom. They don't even call it Animal Kingdom in the title. They call it Disney World. When
Yeah.
it's not even the right name. Walt Disney World is the full name. How did ABC and its parent company, Walt Disney Productions, let this go?
This is also, I think, the fourth sitcoms go to Disney episodes that I've done in the history of this podcast because we
So
talked
good.
about the step by step one.
Yep.
I talked, and then I talked with Matt Fisher about the Roseanne one, I think, and maybe Kirk about Full House. I think that's all of them. Yeah.
This this was definitely a promotional push for Animal Kingdom. Animal Kingdom opened 2 days
Yeah.
before this episode aired.
Yes,
So
April 22nd. Yeah.
Yeah. So this was filmed with a park that was, 99.999% complete.
But
Um,
only all the extras are definitely crew members, maybe crew member families.
yep.
And then also rain.
Yeah, because that's Florida for you. Florida rains all the time. There's one scene where they call it out. They say, and when this rain stops, there was no rain previously, there was
Before,
no rain
after,
after.
I feel
Just
like the dig that Hildy's at would be like not sustainable in the rain, but yeah, this episode is a shameless promotion of a Disney park, which A plus. I have no notes on that. That's A-okay. Good by me. That's
shoot
what
your shot.
sitcoms are for. And
Got to play the hits.
it opens with one of the sexiest men to ever live in one of the sexiest outfits ever. Martin
Yeah.
Mull in like a tweed jacket and tie and just God. I want to be him. I want to be in him.
He
Just all the
plays the
things.
principal.
He play and people are cut they're horsing around and he is like, why are you horsing around? Why are you having fun?
Yeah, he's very stern in this, not his usual. Like
He's very
if you watched an episode of Fernwood Tonight, and I highly recommend you do, and then watched an episode of Sabrina the Teenage Witch, you must have thought he'd been like brainwashed by a cult or something. Just the difference between, you know,
acting.
polyester leisure suit, cigarette smoking Barth Gimble and tweed
Oh, there is
uptight
something
tweed principal.
Martin Mull. So I did this because I'm insane. I was like, how old is he in this? Because I also, Martin Mull is also a masculinity touchstone for myself in that I want to be him, look like him. Like he's a perfect example of masculinity. But there was a switch. So he's 55 in this, 54, which is actually a lot older than I thought because he
Yeah.
looks uh so I was like, what did he look like when he was 40, which is my age? Oh, hi Cat. Which would be 1983, I think. It's around the time Clue came out. And around that time is when he transitioned from the like feathered hair and like thinner blonde mustache and leisure
Yeah.
suits into this side part tortoiseshell glasses and then always like a textured jacket and tie and just and like loafers and like just I mean honestly how I dress when
Yeah.
I'm about 10 pounds lighter and it's around like the mid 80s he goes through the cult, he joins the cult of menswear.
Now
Of
the I after he passed away, I did purchase an autographed picture of him, and you can go on eBay, you can take your pick of Martin Mull
mm-hmm.
autographed photos, but I chose 70s feathered hair, pencil thin mustache Martin Mull because that's my Martin Mull because I did grow up watching America Tonight and Fernwood Tonight and reruns of those. So I don't know if we'll ever be able to do those on the show because A, they're impossible to find, and B,
Bonus
it's not
Patreon
a
content.
sitcom. Yeah, it's not a
Patreon content.
sitcom.
Well, we do anything at this point. And, after you do Streets of San Francisco, uh,
If you can find it, they're on Spotify, but he was primarily known as a musical
yeah,
comedian
yeah.
for a long time, as well as a fine artist. You can find all of his albums on Spotify, and I highly recommend just sitting down, doing some chores, and just listening to these albums. He has one of my favorite lines, which is just a quick little one-liner gag. He goes, "Thank you for coming tonight," or however you reacted.
See, he just, yeah, I love him. Oh.
Let's get back
A
to
rough year for
Sabrina's
my male role models. Um,
Sabrina's.
yeah, so he basically, God, so my brain, even though I have watched this episode twice, I did not write anything down. So my brain is,
I can guide you through it. Um, there's a this is part of an arc where
yeah,
Sabrina's being tested by the
by
Quizmaster.
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 I don't know.
Quizmaster Zero, if you watched Orgasmo.
Jesus.
Quizmaster
She's
Yeah,
trying to get
so
her witchy license.
which is I'm glad they're regulating that shit.
Yeah. But it's also hard for her to do this while also being a school, like attending school.
Yeah.
Um,
So the quizmaster is like, "Hey, for your next bit, you need to go to a tropical location."
mhm.
And she's like, "Where are we going to go to a tropical location?" And quizmaster, who is just a regular dude in like a loud
Just a,
shirt,
yeah, just
uh, he's just some guy. He's played by Alimi Ballard. He does a great job in this. Um, he puts the idea in Martin Mull's head. The principal's head goes, "Class trip to Disney
Florida.
World,
He says, I think it's
Florida."
just to Florida.
Oh
It's
yeah,
like,
to
that's
Florida.
vague.
And then Quizmaster gets it in Sabrina's head. She goes, "We're going to Disney World," and everyone's really excited. And then the
And then
scene
they end
ends.
up at Animal Kingdom and they're like, wait a second. This isn't Disney. Wait, is it Disney World? Is it part of it's part of Disney World?
It's part of Disney
Okay.
World. It's part of the four parks. Before we get there, we do get a scene at home
Right.
between the aunts, Caroline Rhea and Beth Broderick,
Beth Broderick.
both
Both
of
of
whom are
which
fantastic
are in Hallmark Christmas movies this year, so keep an eye out.
as
Together,
is Melissa Joan Hart, and
probably.
that's what Melissa Joan Hart's executive producer mom does now. She executive
She
produces
does the
Hallmark
life
movies.
because Melissa Joan Hart became a Lifetime girl. So, well, after whenever Disney family became freeform, and then they decided they made some really great. I don't need to get into this. This is not. This is neither here nor there. Uh, but no, yeah, they're gonna go as well because oh my god, what they're Hildy and
Zelda,
Zelda,
Hildy
right?
and Zelda.
Yeah, this is where like yeah, my I didn't watch this show growing up. I've seen a lot of episodes though.
Fun
They are like,
fact: Caroline Rhea is a fantastic comedian, and Beth
mm-hmm.
Broderick did lesbian porn.
When? Before or
Um,
after Sabrina?
Before she did two movies called In Love and Bordello House of the Rising Sun.
As it like when she was like young?
Yeah.
Okay. It's like where she I was like, oh, was she just on the L word after this? Is that what it
No, I
was?
mean, no, these were fairly hardcore films. I watched one of them. It's actually extremely good production quality.
Well, good. She's a great actress.
Yeah, she's great,
Uh
and she directed three episodes of Sabrina.
and she wanted to go to the Animal Kingdom because they have a like new like dinosaur exhibit,
Yeah, it's called the Boneyard. It's a big they bury
which also
plastic
sounds like a
bones. They
is this
bury
a real
plastic
thing?
bones. Yeah, yeah. Oh yeah. Well,
Okay,
okay.
because
To
well,
show you
because
how
Zelda
things
points out like, yeah, they buried them. This isn't real. What are you doing?
to show you how much things have changed and how they haven't changed, all of that Dinoland USA stuff was going away. As of this year, they were tearing it down, replacing it with an Encanto land, a South American zoo area, and an Indiana Jones ride. But the
Oh,
Boneyard, the dig, has stayed around since 1996, 1997,
1998. This is 98.
1998. Since 1998. Um,
Nuts.
Pretty much unchanged. Yeah. But they didn't
Yeah.
have real bones in it.
No, yeah.
Zelda
So it
thinks they'll
is.
have real. Sorry.
It is weird that. And then Salem, of course, wants to go. Salem ends up stowing away in some luggage, which we
Yeah.
love.
Salem's the cat.
Yes, we
Um,
love Salem the cat, voiced by Nick Bakay, who is an adorable man. He played one of Elaine's boyfriends in an episode of Seinfeld.
he was also a writer for National Lampoon and In Living Color, and he wrote Paul Blart Mall Cop.
Work.
And he was also a writer and producer. He produced King of Queens.
Good. Yeah, I think just for his voice alone, he is the funniest character on this show. And
Hands
you
down.
have to be very funny because the puppet of Salem is, it's touch and go. It's touch and go. Like, so we end up at Animal Kingdom. Everyone, the entire class goes. Now, Mr. Kraft, Martin Mull is wearing. I mean, it's not as good of an outfit. It's like a parka. He's wearing like an Alan Grant hat, which I do like hot. That's hot. And he's wearing some like navy slacks. He's
Yeah,
still handsome because it's Martin Mull, but
Martin Mull. There's a weird little bit of kind of logistical issue. If you've ever been to Walt Disney World, you go to your hotel first and then you take a some kind of transportation to your park of choice. Here it starts out, they're at the outside of Animal Kingdom,
Mm-hmm.
which is it's a hike to get out there. It has a lot of ground, so you have to drive for a while. They get their hotel assignments
Mm-hmm.
outside of Animal Kingdom, and then the next scene is them in the hotel, which is very
So are
weird.
there any hotels in the Animal Kingdom?
No, there's the Animal Kingdom Lodge, which is a I'd say like kind of adjacent. It's the closest hotel
Okay.
to it. They do show an exterior shot of the hotel they're in, and that is the Coronado Springs Resort.
Okay.
Um,
Uh yeah, so we find out that Sabrina is rooming with her best friend. Her name is Libby, right? Right? Is she Libby or is she no?
uh, no, she's Valerie.
Valerie, I am so sorry, Sabrina fans.
Valerie
But
Burkhead, played by Lindsay Sloan. You've seen on probably a lot of different things. She was in Bring It On. She was in Horrible Bosses. I
hmm.
remember her from playing House,
Okay. Oh yeah,
where
that was a good
she played Keegan Michael Key's perpetually ill wife.
Good, yeah. So they are they're rooming together. So her arc in this is like as soon as they get to the Animal Kingdom, Libby, who is the cool girl, and all the cool girls are just like unimpressed, and Valerie, her name's Valerie.
Valerie.
Jesus Christ, take notes, you idiot. This is me yelling at myself. She is basically like, oh, I wish I could be cool because like I'm so excited about everything. I wish that I could be a queen of ice or whatever.
Yeah. It's
I
I thought it
know.
was it's kind of interesting that this is the episode where Valerie, her best friend, really comes into her own and kind of like it's as much a Valerie episode as it is a Sabrina episode. And then she didn't appear for the rest of the season and didn't show up again until season 3. Just like, what?
Yeah, great.
What?
Yeah.
Why did you do this?
So yeah, they're rooming together, but like this becomes a problem because Sabrina is like going to start, she needs to start gathering ingredients for her potions. And the specific potion is it's a potion that she has to make for instances when she needs to turn herself into an animal.
Yes. And then turn herself back.
Yes. And she of course comes up with like some fake excuses of like I need to go do this for like chemistry class, and Valerie's like, "Oh, I'm in that class too. What are you talking about?" No, actually it's political science, and then leaves. Which
It's pretty lame.
is Sabrina a good friend in this episode?
No.
No, I don't think
Not at
so.
all. Not at all. It's an episode that jumps around from group to group. So you
Yeah.
have, and then long story short, Valerie starts hanging out with the cool girl Libby because Libby wants to date
Harvey,
Harvey,
your
kind of
heartthrob.
Sabrina's, yeah, the kind of Sabrina's boyfriend, the heartthrob.
For
Um,
everyone that wasn't enamored of Martin Mull,
yeah,
which I
there's
think is
someone
probably most
younger,
people.
there's someone younger on the set.
I
Harvey.
mean, that's like I don't know what my damage is. And that when I like I absolutely had a crush on Martin Mull as a 14-year-old. But anyway, uh
So you have the story of Sabrina making the potion. You have Libby and Valerie becoming friends, looking for Harvey. You've got the ants uh, digging the bone. You have Salem getting out into the park and causing havoc. And they just keep bouncing back and forth. My notes are all just arrows, just all over the place.
yeah, it's really hard to piece it like scene by scene, but like Zelda, so like when Zelda hears that Libby wants to get with Harvey, she like zaps him away to like get him out of the situation, and he then immediately becomes a guide on one of the like animal tours.
Yeah, the
That's like
Harambe,
that's
which is
where
still around. Harambe Africa Trek is still around.
which Harambe is also the name of the gorilla that was murdered.
Well, it was the
for
name
not.
of the ride before it was the name of the gorilla.
Yeah, I know. But like whenever they kept saying that, and I'll admit Harambe is not top of mind for me. So I was like, I know that's a thing. I
It's a
know
thing.
that's like a
Oh
thing.
yeah.
And so then I looked it up right before this. I was like, oh yeah, it's the gorilla that like pulled a child into its habitat and then had to be put down. Like,
I don't know if he pulled the kid in there. I thought it just fell. The kid
oh,
fell and then just like it held it for a while to keep it safe and then they killed him.
oh man, maybe the Wikipedia article is biased. It's anti-Harambe
Maybe they did
bias.
pull him. I don't
Yeah, and so like that's where Harvey spends all of his time. And Sabrina runs around looking for potion ingredients. Mr. Kraft uh sees her
Yeah.
and he's like, "What?" He is basically Martin Mull is walking around with a pencil and paper and just writing down. Well, I would say he's writing down things that the kids are doing that he needs to punish them for, but he isn't. He never really punishes them. It's more like he's spying on all the children in front of their faces. I don't know. He walks up to them, says, "Why are you doing that?" and writes it down.
Yeah, he's not having fun. He's really just staying an administrator
Yeah,
for
and he's
this.
mystified by the concept of fun. I will say, in terms of like Martin Mull content, was very, very happy that he had a running gag and he was in throughout the entire episode. Like he had stuff to do, and he actually had some good lines that I liked.
He had some good lines, especially at the end. Well,
Oh
at
God, yes.
end
Oh
credits
yes.
lines.
So like, I don't know. Like that is Sabrina's role in this episode is kind of just like a grocery shopping, like a grocery list in Animal Kingdom, right?
That's why it's really a Valerie episode
Yeah.
about Valerie and Libby kind of doing stuff. Sabrina makes the potion
Hmm.
in the hotel coffee maker.
Which she
Salem has
Okay, we gotta
gotten
talk about
out.
Salem, man. So
Okay,
Salem
yeah.
got there, and Salem wants to go out. He wants to like partay.
And the ants are like, there are no cats allowed in Disney World, and that is a lie.
Oh, really?
There are hundreds of cats in Disney
People
World.
don't take their cats to.
No,
Okay.
they're loose in the park because they kill pests. So
Oh,
they're loose. They're part of the experience. You can go
I feel
there and
like if
just see
someone
cats.
who knew Disney wrote this episode, Salem becoming king of the Animal Kingdom cats, like pest killer
Yeah.
cats, is a funny storyline. But so my favorite scene of the entire episode is Salem loose in the Animal Kingdom. It's just one shot, one like little scene of Salem, a real cat, a real black cat, walking up to a flamingo, the flamingo like turning around and just calmly walking past Salem, and Salem just like hissing back and then running. And I was
Hiss.
like, I love this. I love that. And that's when
Uh,
he then runs back into the hotel. It's like, big pink cat. Oh God, it almost killed me. It's a pterodactyl.
what he ends up doing is ordering room service
My
and then
favorite line.
cashews from the mini bar.
What
Macadamia
so
nuts from the mini bar.
and then when is it Sabrina walks in? And this is one of my favorite things, and we've also seen this joke format in another episode of this batch of episodes we've done. But Sabrina walks in and he's sitting there with just macadamia nut shell or just like he's covered in them, and he goes, some squirrels broke in, I'm just tidying up. Which is very similar to the make room for daddy joke of like, oh, he's under the chair, I found him. I it's a joke format that I love, of like hurriedly coming up with a stupid excuse as someone walks in the door.
I loved it too because he followed it up with the he ordered room service and the room service guy comes in, he goes, someone ordered cod and
Cod and
more
more
cod.
cod. So this
That
is
was
like, let's
funny.
talk about, so there is a little bit of a weird incongruity in Sabrina the Teenage Witch, wherein I think that the script and the performances do not line up. In that, I think that there are a lot of really solid jokes like that you can look at, like, oh, on paper, that is hilarious. But then, like, the acting style of Sabrina the Teenage Witch is Nickelodeon, is your Disney, is your
Yeah.
kids, is your hammy, like it's just that it's for kids, but
They're
like the
not up to the
joke
material.
now, which is crazy because like this this episode of Sabrina has hard jokes in it, the kind of which you would never hear on a Full House, but the performance style is still very Full House.
Yeah. I thought that Harvey Kinkle's lines as the guide on
Yeah,
the tour, I thought those were good jokes. And they're just like these one-liners that he just like, it's stuff like
this
where was this?
animal's turn-ons are this turn-offs are war and oh
Yeah,
god.
we're gonna be heading over this way, so if you smell like spoiled meat, please let me know.
Yeah. And I think it's also why Salem is the best character on the show because it's voiced by like Nick Bakay is a comedian. He is a like
Mhm.
comedic and also Caroline Ray has a really good line also that I liked where god
We have to explain her arc.
there's story. So her line is like
Hildy.
Hildy or
Hildy.
Hilda.
Hildy.
Hildy is so
Hilda.
first of
It's
all,
Hilda. Sorry, it's
Hilda,
Hilda.
whatever. Hilda is supposed to be the smart one from my like tertiary knowledge of Sabrina. She's supposed to be like I've the more matronly or smart leader, and then Zelda's kooky. And the fact that Hilda's arc in this is I want to go to the dinosaur dig at Animal Kingdom, and then I immediately find a bone. Like
Yeah,
not
not a
even an
plastic bone.
inch, not even an inch under some sand, just a
Yes.
bone. And just like this has been there millions of years. And I get that this is Sabrina the Teenage Witch, and to want any type of verisimilitude or whatever is maybe too much.
None.
But I'm like, come on. Uh, and then Zelda, honestly, I feel like Caroline Ray and Beth Broderick were like, you want to switch parts for this episode? Yeah. Okay. Like I'll just change the names because that makes so well, the line I liked from Caroline Ray is she comes back, she's like, oh, I found these mugs, they didn't have Zelda, so I got Pam. So that was
I like
funny.
that. So, Zelda finds a femur in this amusement park, which is really just it's a big sandbox where they bury plastic bones.
Is
It
this the actual boneyard?
I've never been to the boneyard.
Okay.
So it looks like it is because they did some pans over and it looks like
Yeah.
it's larger than just a set.
Yeah.
Also if it was a set, it would be a pretty big set, very
Yeah.
complex set. So she finds a femur, which, believe it or not, that's a crime scene. If you find a human femur just loose in the wild, the police are going to be called. But she wants to get involved, and she's like, "Tell me your secrets, Bone." And the Bone starts rattling.
And
So they get the
grunting.
idea. Maybe we should bring it to life.
And
It
then
makes
Tim Blake Nelson as a
it looks
caveman.
like him.
I thought
Uh,
it was Tim Blake Nelson.
It looks like he's played by Brian LaRosa, who I looked up. He's made a really good career playing apes and cavemen.
Wow. I mean, he's
Yeah,
very good.
classically trained, plays a lot of he did a lot of like Planet of the Apes kind of stuff.
Oh,
So,
good.
yeah,
So
so
he's his name is Tootie.
he's a caveman.
Tootie the caveman.
His name is Tootie. He is
He
a
was a
caveman
caveman. He was looking for his something, which either meant shoe or
looking for
wife
his wife.
or something.
Looking for
Yeah.
his wife, but he probably lost her life because he died 2 million years
Years
ago,
ago.
which doesn't work with evolution. Or something.
Yeah. So it's a cute little storyline. They then take him around. I think I did like when like Martin Mull and Kraft sees Tootie with Zelda, and he could tell he's like, oh hey, so oh hi, like a little bit jealousy.
Yeah. And she's like, "Oh, it's her new boyfriend from Sweden."
Oh yeah, it's like the Swedish people don't hold up under heat or something.
Just a good line.
Which I do actually. I would love to see a script because I wonder if Martin Mull he 100% improvised everything over the credits under the credits.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
to wrap up that arc, Tootie gets stuck in they bring him to the hotel room. He watches TV. They don't know what to do with him, so they make him a
He
little bit
watches
smarter.
Petticoat Junction,
Petticoat Junction.
which I love
Um,
that.
they make him a little bit smarter, and they get him to work in the park, um, selling drinks.
Yeah. And then
Um,
yeah.
which is kind of funny because the only lines he really has, which means he gets paid more money, is um, Martin Mull walks up to him and says, "I'd like to get a Diet Coke," and he just goes, "Ice," and he goes, "Yeah," and then he goes, "No ice." No, ice, which is the only line he has. And it's well delivered. But as we were talking about, under the credits, it's just Tootie and Martin Mull. Just are they on
Talking.
a bus? Are they just sitting? They're
It
just sitting
seems like
down.
yeah, it seems like they're on like a Surrey something.
Yeah, they're sitting next to each other, and Martin Mull's just. I'm guessing he's just improvising.
Because he's like, "Oh no, I got something that can fix your teeth and your gums too." Like,
That's probably going to involve some surgery.
yeah,
And he's like, I really appreciate the Swedish. I'm a big fan of
your work at
Edvard Munch.
Nagano. Oh, he
Oh
says
yeah,
like your work at Nagano.
you work at Nagano in the Olympics. Like,
And then he's like, "Oh
uh,
yeah, and I love painting." Which knowing that Martin Muller like is an artist, I was like, "Oh," he was like this, like, "Oh my god, it's awesome."
and we didn't even
Uh,
mention the fact that uh, Melissa Joan Hart, Sabrina makes the potion.
mhm.
Valerie gets all snippy with Sabrina. Thinks it's
Justifiably. And Sabrina
exactly.
is immediately like, "Why are you hanging out with Libby? We don't like her." Just like, which Libby was being nice to her.
Yeah.
And I watched it twice. Did Libby have an ulterior motive? Because, like, I mean, they were looking for Harvey, but like, Libby was genuinely seeming to have a good time. And they
Yeah.
had like
It
banter
was.
and like they were bonding and it was very nice. And then it doesn't even end with Libby like turning on her or anything. Really?
No.
Yeah,
They
it's
had a
very
good time. They
yeah.
went on the boat ride, which doesn't exist anymore,
Oh.
which is kind of like a neat little time capsule. They're like, "Oh, wasn't the boat ride scary? I thought the dragon was going to get you."
Hmm.
It doesn't exist because no one was interested in it. It was like a boat ride around an area where nothing really happened. They just had the waterway and they're like, we need a ride. So they made some boats and just turned it around. The dragon was just a cave with some smoke coming out of it.
Oh. Wow. Yeah. Libby goes and drinks the tea, which she thinks is tea, but it's really the potion.
Ocean.
She accidentally spritzes some onto Libby. They turn into zebras in a creepy animorph kind of way.
Fully animal.
And then Sabrina turns them back.
Yeah.
And there are
Yeah.
no they don't really remember any of their time as zebras.
They wonder
Um
why their mouth tastes like grass
yeah.
because that's what
And
zebras do. They eat
to
grass.
cover it up, they say something like Valerie is like obsessed with zebras or something.
Yeah, she's got like this like obsession with zebras, and then Martin Mull is like, "It's okay. There are support groups for everything these days," which is it was very
Well, that's the other line I liked where they said Sabrina said something like, "No, there aren't," and she walked away. And then he was like, "Right," he's like, "That girl is lying. There are support groups for everything." Right, right, right. It's just like
it was
it feels like they told him, "Hey, just at the end of every scene, we're just going to stay on you. Just say something." Because that is almost every single scene almost is punctuated by Martin Mull being like saying one liner, write something down.
he's great.
He's
There's
great.
another line that was weird is then Valerie finally sees um Harvey Kinkle, and
Mm-hmm.
Harvey is wearing his full uh tour guide, safari guide outfit, the hat, the clothes. She goes, "I didn't think we were going to do missionary work here." And he goes, "Well, my mom packed my suitcase." Is there something where they're doing missionary work in other
I
episodes?
don't know. Well,
I
then he
don't
says
know.
something like, "Then Americans dress funny," or
I don't know.
I don't. It's
There were some lines that just didn't work, and not
which
anything
I think
Martin
is
Mull did,
yeah
but
is indicative of like they were trying. It's very It's the same thing that happens to a toad that's struck by lightning. The same thing that happens to everything. Like the script is there, but then there's no one on set to say, "Oh no, the joke is this." So the delivery, like adjust your delivery based on why. Like, yeah, it's very strange. Quizmaster pops up and it's like, "Hey, cool, you got that done. Now you got to go to Antarctica for a week."
And she's like, I can't do that. And
What
he's
with her
like,
having school.
yeah. And he's like, I'm kidding. Yeah, Quizmaster just kind of like shows up. He doesn't like poof into existence like a genie or something. He just like she'll be talking to somebody with their back turned to her, and he'll turn around and be like, "Ah, it's me,
Ah,
Quizmaster." Um,
it's such a. It's all. Yeah, it's a. It's just
Believe me,
weird.
the most money was spent on those animorphs transitions to zebras.
Oh
Like
yeah.
they couldn't have done any like magic for him. He's just no, he's working in the bar and he turns around and it's Quizmaster
Yeah, and I mean, like, no regular sets. Like they had, this was a on location.
on location.
So much
Probably the hotel rooms were a set.
set.
The
Yeah,
hotel, yeah, they were a set.
but everything. I mean, I guess that's probably we covered everything. It's a very disjointed episode.
Yeah, it's one of those it's not one long plot like the one I'm thinking of is like Kate and Allie. That was
Yeah,
like one plot that you followed. This was more like one where you're like, okay, this person has an arc and these people have an arc and like Martin Mull shows up and does this and then Valerie doesn't appear for the rest of the season.
da-da-da.
And then
You're
none
right.
of the characters appear for the rest of the series after season 3
Yeah, then
because
it goes
she
to
goes to college.
UP, the WB. I think it goes to. It also switches networks.
But she goes to college and all the characters that she knew in high school are no longer there. Although
Well,
I think Harvey comes back
yeah.
later.
Are you ready for some must-have facts?
Yeah.
So, 7.9 million people watched this episode of television, which I don't know, that's a lot. But it was ranked number 35th, 35 for the week, 35th in the ratings.
Okay.
The top 5 TV episodes that week was number 5 was an episode of Friends, 4 was an episode of Seinfeld, 3 was another episode of Seinfeld, which this is, I think, in the run up to the series finale of Seinfeld. Number 2 was Merlin Part 1. Sam Neill, baby, in a TV miniseries that just looks like a whole lot of music videos that were crammed together. It is, and then number 1 was, of course, ER. Just to show the absolutely horrible state that TGIF was in at this time. ABC's Friday night TGIF lineup, like their bread and butter, launched in like 89, hit the heights, defined the culture of the early 90s, gave us Step by Step, Perfect Strangers, Family Matters, that weird show that the Hensons did where they were all aliens, and then also dinosaurs. At this point in its storied run, your ABC TGIF lineup starts with a rerun of Sabrina the Teenage Witch, new episode of Boy Meets World, new episode of Sabrina the Teenage Witch, rerun of Boy Meets World, 2020. So
Sabrina lasted much longer. This was second season Sabrina. Sabrina lasted 7 seasons.
but most of them were on the W or
Yeah.
UPN or the WB. Yeah, like it, because I think this is right after I think CBS bought Family Matters and Step by Step, and they gave them one last season on CBS, which they're wild and bad. Yeah, it's a rough night. That's not good.
Fun
What are
fact
you?
though.
Oh
Fun
yeah.
fact though. Uh Sabrina the Teenage Witch was 20 years old when they started filming this. She was only a teenager for the movie where she was 19, but she was 20 years old plus when she did the entire Teenage Witch series.
Well, that is wild because I mean, like Clarissa, she is in theory like close to the same age. I think she might
Yeah.
have been like middle school then. How can I? So I found an article about, as I was like, oh, what was the newspaper saying about Animal Kingdom when it opened like this week? And yeah, I mean, I found like, there were like Drew Carey was at the opening. There are people protesting animal stuff, like blah, 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 blah. But I
Okay.
found this really stupid. It's this quote from Michael Eisner. Uh, So this passage from an AP story about protesters from the Animal Rights Foundation of Florida planned to picket the theme park's opening day, but hadn't arrived by mid-morning. Disney Chief Executive Officer and Chairman Michael Eisner said he wasn't too concerned about the protest. I'm kind of used to Disney being used as a media whipping boy to promote other people's agendas, Eisner said Tuesday. The fact of the matter is, we have every reason to believe that the wait, oh yeah, sorry, I skipped it. The park was visited last week by two Department of Agriculture inspectors who examined facilities and interviewed animal keepers about the deaths of a dozen exotic animals at the $800 million park. Eisner said he was confident the investigation would turn up nothing wrong. The fact of the matter is, we have every reason to believe that the investigation that they did showed that we are a first rate facility. He said that critics feel animals are synonymous with human beings. I have 3 children and a bunch of animals, and I really feel stronger about my children. I don't think they're quite equal, no matter how much I love my animals. What?
Who's quoted? Who thinks that's a good idea to say to a reporter? That's a horrible
I
idea.
think I mean, a lot. They think that the animals. I mean, I've got animals and children, but the animals aren't really carrying on my bloodline, right?
I just want to let you know where I stand. People and
People,
then animals,
animals, and then
fungi.
God, this is such a weird quote, Michael Eisner.
Michael,
Um,
we prefer you
uh,
don't do your own press from now on.
so what are you watching tonight? On ABC, we have Sabrina the Teenage Witch. On a trip to Disney's Animal Kingdom, Sabrina accidentally turns Libby and Valerie into zebras. On CBS, we have Dallas, War of the Ewings TV movie. JR makes a bid to regain control of Ewing Oil. Larry Hagman, Patrick Duffy, Linda Gray. On Fox, we got an episode of Millennium. Frank probes the abduction of the world's most intelligent children for use in Satan's army.
Oh, Millennium, hands
And then on
down.
on NBC, we have Law and Order. The death of a
Oh,
disabled teenage boy raises questions about whether a suspected killer was motivated by mercy or something more sinister.
satanic children.
Yeah, Millennium's Satanic Children, baby. Now I also did. I was sure that this Dallas TV movie was going to be like a huge hit. No, because I like Dallas is a big show. No, it ranked number 42 for the week, watched by 7.6 million people, which is less than Sabrina.
Yeah,
Sabrina did more. Law and Order won this time slot. I was like, I could start doing this. Law and Order won the time slot with 8 million viewers. So I mean, Friday night's not really a
but wait
popping
a second. The difference between Sabrina and Law and Order was,
point 100,000.
yeah,
Law and Order
0.1.
ranked number
Yeah.
32, and Sabrina was 35. And then unfortunately for Millennium, ranked 82nd that week, only 4.7. I think the Satan's Army scaring people off.
I will say that I did watch Millennium because it started later than X-Files. And when
Mm-hmm.
X-Files was on, I was like, there's no way I'm going to be able to get into X-Files because, a couple of seasons have gone by. The rest of my family is not going to watch X-Files. There's no DVDs. Like there's
I
no
watch it on
thing.
FX, baby, every night.
So I did start Millennium when it came out, and I liked it.
And it has a Jose Chung episode that I've never seen because you can't fucking find Millennium anywhere.
I
Has to
have
be on.
I have the DVDs.
Oh, okay. Well, give me that Jose Chung episode.
I gotta find
Um,
it.
on IMDb, 291 Sabrina heads gave this a 7.5 out of 10. Now, to refresh, you gave Make Room for Daddy an 8.4.
Mm-hmm.
The Brady Bunch Tiki Caves episode a 7.9. The
Mm-hmm.
Munsters Spy episode of 5.9. And then Poor New Gidget a 4.5. Now, where does Sabrina fall on this?
I'd give it maybe a 6.6. That you've got a lot of good stuff there. You've got great shots of Animal Kingdom, some great promotional copy, like, hey, that's the tree of life. There are 375 animals carved into that. Like, people just
Oh,
talk
and
this.
one of them looks like Ed Asner.
Yeah,
He
that's a joke that makes no sense. So it's almost like data. You're like, what am I watching? They're just saying
was
lines.
that not a reference to anything? Did he voice an
No,
animal?
no. Ed Asner, as far as I know, was not involved with Disney
That
at
animal
this
looks like Ed
time.
Asner. That animal looks like James Earl Jones.
Like
That
it
would
could
make
be any. Like it was so like. Do kids who are watching Sabrina the Teenage Witch being like, oh, I like? Do tweens know who Ed Asner is?
I
Like
did.
I don't. I didn't.
Oh, I think in the 90s they definitely did. Because remember, this is the 90s when like
I
TV
didn't know
literacy was
him.
at an all-time high.
But
My
what
people.
had Ed Asner done?
Mary Tyler Moore, which was still on in
Which
reruns.
was 20 plus
Did you
years
not wait?
ago.
Were you not a cable kid?
I had Nickelodeon, but we
Oh,
didn't. They weren't playing Mary Tyler Moore.
yeah, they won Nick at Night in the 90s.
We This is where the age difference of just 4 years between us. You're like, oh, they were totally playing Mary Tyler Moore. I was like, excuse me, they were playing Donna Reed.
No.
Yeah, they
Oh,
were.
God. Oh man, do I give this a I mean, it is better than that Monsters episode. The
It
Brady
is
Bunch
better.
episode had Vincent Price, so I will split the difference and give this a 6.4.
I didn't think it beat a 7
No.
because I wasn't invested in any of the characters except Martin Mull, who's just kind of like he's a one note character. He's grumpy.
Yeah.
He has good lines.
Well,
Um, Now I did see that Melissa Joan Hart just posted on Instagram, like I want to say 3 days ago, a just a video of all the cast members sitting in a restaurant, looking at their phones and passing the phone to the next person. And I'm like, oh, we just saw her and him. They're in the show.
wow. Still friends. Good.
Still friends, still
I
hanging out. I
wonder
love
what's
it.
up with her. Who had the must-see performance of this episode?
Oh, you're gonna hate me. You're gonna hate me.
Well, I don't who.
Brian LaRosa as Tootie.
You know what? Committed. He was.
He played a
He was
caveman, a, looked like Tim Blake Nelson with fake teeth.
stole the show.
You can give
Honestly,
it
I
to
will
Martin
give
Mull.
it. I'll give it to. God damn it!
You can give it to Martin Mull, and I'm
I
not gonna.
know. I mean, oh, I see. It's between Martin Mull or the cat that plays Salem.
Because there were live cats. There were something
Not the
like
puppet,
five. There were like
but
five live cats on
but
set at any
that
time.
cat hissing at that flamingo made my day. I'll still give it to Martin Mull though, who I adore. My
When you do the thumbnail for the episode, is it going to
it's
be the
Martin
cat hitting?
and Tim Blake Nelson. No,
Oh, okay. I was gonna
or
say,
maybe it should be the cat. I don't know. I
I
can make
don't
a
know.
gif of.
As a tribute to Martin Mull,
Yeah.
maybe give him the thumbnail.
And must other people see this episode of Sabrina?
Yeah, go see it. Disney fans
I
should
guess
be
it's
all
like, yeah,
about
if you're
this.
into the Disney, and I guess it's probably a good Martin Mull episode, but I feel like there's probably better, if you want to start on Sabrina, you probably want to do one that's like high school, that's actual like school instead of
Yeah,
this. I don't know. It's fine.
with characters that stick around for
For
another
more
couple
than, yeah.
episodes.
You
Yeah.
know? But that is it for Sabrina in this round of episodes. Ethan, where can people find you on the internet if they want to talk to you about other actors who look like Tim Blake Nelson?
Check me out on Ethan K55 on Instagram. Always posting fun stuff up there. Brett, how about you? Where are you at?
Ooh, follow me on Instagram and Blueski at Brett White, and then also follow Barb Hardley's Drag Adventures on Barb Hardley YouTube and Instagram. There will be more Barb sitcom content coming up soon.
We
And
gotta get her on the show.
I
She's
mean, she was almost going to appear on this one, but I didn't get my wig in time. But I do have it now, and I got a couple new gowns. So, yeah, please also go to the Patreon. $5 a month gets you all sorts of like fun extra content, as well as Must Have Now TV And yeah, it's a fun time, and we really appreciate any coins that you toss our way.
Yeah.
Like
They go to
pennies
editing
into a
out some of
fountain.
the they go at editing out some of our crosstalk, some of our uhs and ums, and various other things like hosting the site, and
Mm-hmm.
things, or hosting the
Paying
podcast.
for new art by Dynamo, which we have now officially debuted. It'll be part of this episode because that popped up in the interim.
Oh, fantastic. Yes.
Yeah. And yeah, please, yeah, Patreon, YouTube, everything, baby. Thanks to Acast for hosting the podcast. And please also leave reviews on iTunes. And you know what? I should write out a script for the end of the episodes. I have one. I just stopped reading it for some reason.
Check us out on
Anyway.
YouTube. Check us out on YouTube where you can see our gorgeous faces and our wonderful offices. But it's also a great thing if you just like want to show the podcast to your parents and they don't really understand how podcasts work. You can be like, don't worry,
Right.
guys. It's an app on your TV. It's YouTube. You can go right there. Or if you have a YouTube subscription, you don't want to listen to us on, all the podcasting apps, you can listen to us on YouTube. But you can watch us as well. But you can also leave comments, and that's the great thing about YouTube is that we will generally
We get
respond.
notifications there. Yeah.
Yeah, we respond with heartfelt thank yous for people who, give us kudos and apologies if they ask for a TV show that we don't have.
Or if they just want more episodes of George and Leo in HD, which, guys, I am sorry, I do not have. I bought this from a For Your Consideration Emmy submission VHS tape off of eBay that just had those 3 episodes. And also, my VCR ate the tape, so the tape doesn't even exist anymore. Throw it out.
What?
Anyway, God, I felt really bad about that. I was like, I own this history. Anyway, thanks, everybody. We will see you next time on Must Have Seen TV.